Hello, friends. There's a few things from the weekend that I really wanted to get on here and talk to you about. And the first is European utter domination of the U.S. in this year's Ryder Cup, and not so much the tournament itself or the how Europe got off to a commanding lead right on day one and never really took their foot off the pedal, but really some of the drama that took place on day three, particularly near the end of the round when uh, Peter Cantley's caddy, Joe LaCavo, Tiger's former caddy, kind of got into a little spat with Rory on the 18th green. The U.S. all day was fighting tooth and nail trying to recapture some points to get at least make it competitive for Sunday. And Cantley somehow miraculously finished the round with 3 birdies in a row to go from being, I think they were down one or all square, to winning the match 1-up after the 18th hole. Anyway, on the 18th green, he strained his birdie putt, and the Americans kind of went crazy, started waving their hats around. And I guess LaCavo kind of got in Rory's way as he was lining up his putt. And there were some words exchanged between him and Rory. And then I think Shane Lowry got into it. Anyway, it was just quite an interesting thing. I think really, for the most part, this is a boiling over of all the nonsense that's been going on with Liv and the PGA. And Rory, of course, has been kind of at the forefront of the PGA side of things in the battle with Liv. And I'm sure much to his chagrin, the culmination of Liv and the PGA kind of joining forces made him not so happy. But anyway, just the mental fortitude that Cantley had on display to go into 16, 17, 18 and drain 3 birdies in a row to finish up that match was great. Then on the flip side, to have Rory come off of 18, having lost that match, and then let that fuel him going into Sunday. There was also an altercation in the parking lot or whatever, as everyone was leaving the course. And I say altercation, it was just some shouting back and forth. But Rory got the last laugh with Europe pretty much dominating the whole Ryder Cup and walking away with the win. But again, for Rory to forget the past, forget the future, and get back to the present moment and focus on golf on Sunday and go and do what he needed to do in the singles matches. So hats off to Rory. And the other thing is my Toronto Blue Jays had clinched a playoff berth, and this is a bit of a comedy of errors because they had kind of their destiny in their own hands on the weekend, and were tied at the end of regulation, at the end of 9 innings, only to lose on Saturday, and then have Seattle lose later that evening. So they kind of backed into clinching the division, although, of course, it doesn't come down to just that 1 or 2 games. This is a 162 game battle, so they deserve to be in there. Just the way they backdoored in with a loss, and then the Seattle loss was kind of crazy, and then they kind of got beat up on Sunday again in a meaningless game, but nonetheless, it would have been nice for them to go out and leave Rogers Center on a high. And in a matter of a couple hours, the first pitch will be thrown out between them and the Minnesota Twins in the first wild card game of the postseason. So hopefully the Blue Jays can come through and do what they're capable of doing with the talent they have on the team. Anyway, the reason I wanted to mention this is this morning I was watching breakfast television here in Toronto, and Mark Shapiro, I don't know if I guess he's the president of the Blue Jays, was being interviewed. And he said something quite interesting. I thought I'd read you his exact words, because they were quite striking and quite aligned with what it is that I coach people on. And when I say people, I mean all people, but athletes in particular. So this is what Shapiro had to say. He was being asked if the team had a sense of urgency. And he gave a bit of an answer about how him and the head office and coaching staff have a sense of urgency. But he says, I think to be a successful player, you've got to be present. You've got to be in the moment. You can't be thinking about the past, the trauma, that comes with the past. You can't think too far into what the future may hold. So for us to be successful from a player perspective, these guys need to be in the present moment. This pitch, this inning, this game, not thinking too far ahead. If we do that with the talent we've got, we'll play deep into October, hopefully win the last pitch, the last out in the championship season for us. So that's just music to my ears. It's about being present in the moment. Like you said, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future. If you're up at bat, you're just thinking about that pitch, looking for your pitch, looking for cues from the pitcher on what he's going to throw, and not overthinking it. Just play the game. And, in these moments, in the same interview, Shapiro talked about the tension and the pressure seemingly builds up, like in the postseason baseball, every single pitch, the crowd is on the edge of their seat. Every single pitch is heightened and so important compared to a regular season game. But the truth is that's all made up. That's all in our thinking, the fans thinking, the players thinking, the umpires thinking, the coaches thinking. There really isn't more pressure or less pressure. In fact, the more present you are in the moment, the less pressure you feel. Going back to what I talked about earlier, Peter Cantley, was there pressure for him on those last 3 greens, the last 3 putts on Saturday in the Ryder Cup? If you were to look on, you'd say there's tremendous pressure. There's thousands of fans trying to will him to miss his putt. And yet his mental fortitude, he's able to be present as if there's nobody watching and drain those putts. And that's exactly what the Blue Jays need to do with every at-bat, every pitch, every fly ball, every grounder, and so on. And we'll see. The Twins will be trying to do the exact same thing, and the better team will win. That's the beauty of a series. It's only a 3-game series, but that's why you play the games, to see who's the better team. Anyway, I look forward to the playoffs, and hopefully the Jays are going deep. Until next time, thanks for listening. Now go unleash your potential.